On this episode of the Culture Smash Cast,
keep calm. Comic-Con not canceled for COVID-19.
Ain't no movies to see. Everything is canceled. This sucks.
And comics are actually canceled for COVID-19.
thank God. It's the Culture Smash Cast, episode 518 for April the 2nd, 2020. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of Culturesmash.tv.
I'm Tina Heimbach, contributor to Culturesmash.tv.
Somebody
Nicholas
go.
Qualls, contributor to Culturesmash.tv.
Nathan Savino, contributor to Culturesmash.tv.
Zach Martin. I'm a professional dumbass.
That's true.
That's
We all know
true.
that's true. Yeah. So this is our
Are
first.
you getting paid to be a dumbass?
I would just say I'm proficient at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this is our first quarantine edition of the show.
Yep.
How's everybody been doing with their home, being stuck at home situation?
Well, I haven't really been stuck at home. I just got home yesterday, but flying has been awesome.
Has it? Is that sarcasm?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I don't know. I was kind of curious. Like, your planes aren't that full, are they?
Well, it depends where you're coming from. They've canceled so many flights that they're pushing so many people to certain flights. So we've had planes where I've had 0 people, and then we've had planes where it's been 70 people. And then social distancing really isn't a thing on a tin can in the sky. So
Yeah.
So, Nico, and Tina, what have you guys been doing?
Reading, watching Tiger King, like the rest
Animal
of the
Crossing.
world.
Tina's been doing
Animal
Animal Crossing.
Crossing.
Animal
Let's
Crossing.
be honest.
Everybody's about the Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and I'm working from home, so it's my usual 7 to 4 shift. So
Oh, okay. That's cool. I know what Zach's been doing. Same as me.
I've been going to work, and I've been coming home, and I've been losing my damn mind. And then, but then, Doom Eternal came out, and it whipped my ass. And I still haven't gotten through the whole game. It's like a 20-plus hour campaign for a shooter, which is massive. And the highlight of the past 2.5 weeks is literally going over to Stevens and changing a light bulb.
So
quite literally.
Yeah.
just so y'all know, O.J. Simpson says there's no doubt that Tiger King's Carol
Carol
Baskin
killed her husband. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, OJ.
Well, it takes one to know one.
He would know.
Yeah.
He would know.
All right. So
let's get into this into the stories. I didn't really break things up by section because, to be honest, there's not a lot of movie news happening other than everything's canceled. But we have some of that, and so who has
Box
the
office? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
but
So,
an update on Film Ball, because why not?
This is
Zach
important, everyone.
is in 8th place because both of his movies got pushed back. $0.
if there's
Steven,
anything
you're-
delicious about this, it's that.
Oh yes, Steven, you are in 7th place with $58.6 million. By the way, these are the final numbers because everything has been pushed back.
Yep.
Hector Jr. follows number 6 with $62.1 million.
I would just
Hector-
like to say that if our listeners go back to, I think, our previous podcast where I'm like, oh baby, I'm coming. It's gonna, I'm gonna,
Mhm.
you know, it's gonna be great.
delicious.
This sucks.
Hector is number 5 with $66.7 million. I am number 4 with $95.5 million. Nathan is number 3 with $184.9 million. Sarah is number 2 with $185.2 million.
This is like Sarah's best place so far.
And then Nico, number 1, nobody even close, $339.5 million.
That's what happens when you're
I
friends.
call
Suck.
bullshit.
I call insider trading. He knew.
COVID-19 robbed me.
You were doomed anyway, sir.
Shut up.
Because
Robbed you? I did. Okay, hold on.
Zach, you've been raped without lube.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know. Blood, that could be at least a little bit of lube, right?
Oh,
That's
Nope.
disgusting.
Okay, that's enough of
I
that.
mean, because it feels like my
All right,
asshole.
you're going 14.
All right,
Right.
nah, we're
Yeah.
good. We're
So
good.
we've got no
Important
new
thing is-
releases.
Number one, people.
That is it?
Number one.
Nico won the game this season.
Well, at least the
I
trophy's
don't
out of
think I've won
Steven's
in
house.
like 4 years. Yeah, Steven's gonna put a post-it note with my name on it so that we know.
That'll be the thumbnail for this episode on YouTube when I post
And
it.
we're probably canceling the summer film ball and having to wait till fall, so I get an extra season of having the trophy.
Oh shit, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Probably, yep.
He gets
And
to
it'll be
win
in
for
your
2
new
seasons.
place.
That's true. That's
right,
like I
so-
like you guys have to like swing by here and I'll put it on the step so you can put the trophy
Okay, we'll let you know when that happens.
up somewhere.
So for our viewers, this might seem like a short episode because we are working under time constraints, which I'm interested
point.
to see how that works.
We're at
So
7:20 right now.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're gonna do pretty good.
So here's the plan, though. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Is if we run over, we'll just start a second one, and I'll stitch them together in post if we have
Okay.
to. Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to talk about Tiger King.
Yeah. So here's a funny thing about Tiger King.
We're gonna kill our time on Tiger King.
Well, hey, it's like a pop
It's worth
culture
it.
phenomenon right now. I saw it.
It is smashed culture.
It really has. But I saw this thing pop up and no one was really talking about it. It was right when it first came out, and I watch everything that's documentary, and I watched it. But by the time I was halfway through, social media was blowing up about it, and that's when I started messaging Nathan and Zach, and I think I tagged Tina. I think I tagged you.
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy crap! This is like something not what I
You-
expected."
Yeah, you tagged me, and by that time I had seen enough memes to where I was like, okay, I have to know what's going on. So Nico and I just watched the last episode of that yesterday.
And what did you guys? What was your reaction?
Oh boy,
What?
everyone is terrible in that show.
Everyone is terrible. There are like maybe 2 people who are like bearable, but they're not the main 3 or 4 people that they talk about.
I mean,
Right.
Zach
the
just-
campaign manager guy at least seemed half decent.
Yeah, the campaign
So
manager
to be
guy,
fair,
the
anybody who's
reporter
watching
lady-
this-
I don't know. What was it that he said that in the thing that was like the scariest moment in his life?
Spoiler
despite
alert.
the
fact
We
that
will
he
be
just
spoiling
saw
this.
us. Yeah,
will be
It was
spoiling.
something-
Like the guy said, like this. Oh, it was the FBI. It was the FBI coming to interview him and bring him in and
Yeah.
tell him all this stuff. It's like, this is the
He was
scary-
like, that was the scariest moment of my
No,
life. It's
the
like,
scariest
episode
moment of
five,
his
you
life
just saw
is
a guy
Travis.
blow his head off.
Travis.
yeah,
Yep.
there is video footage. Granted, they
Yeah,
don't show
Travis.
the actual suicide, but there's video footage of him talking to the guy, and you just see this flash of light as the gun goes off because the
See,
guy shoots himself.
I don't generally watch a lot of documentaries that are like this, that are like that kind of thing, that are that like gratuitous. So when that happened, like it took me back. I sat back for a minute. Because it was one
I
thing
was
to see.
surprised.
Yeah, when you see the flare, the lens, when you see the flash in the lens or whatever, that's one thing. But what really struck me was you saw somebody's real reaction to
Yeah.
seeing that. And you could see the guy, he didn't believe it was real at first, and when he realized it was devastating.
Mhm.
The first time that we had it on TV, Nico was actually in the kitchen. I think he was refilling our plates or water or something. We usually kill an episode during dinner.
Yeah.
And he just hears me go, "Oh my God." And he rushes in. And so we had to rewind it so that he could see what had just happened.
It was one of those things like these episodes, you sit there and you think, okay, the next episode cannot get better than the last one. Like, come on, that's got to mellow out. Each episode, like, one-upped the previous one. It's like,
it was
can this
like
get any
four
crazier?
different. It was like 4 different train crashes going on, and then they came together, crashing into one giant pile.
Mhm.
And you're like, you're sad at what you're seeing, but at the same time, you're like, I ain't believing this.
Like Matt is just
It's
now
too good to be
started-
true.
Yeah.
Matt just now started episode 2, and he's gotten to the part where the girl gets her arm ripped off, and then's back at
Guy.
work like
oh, yeah.
7
Guy.
days.
The guy gets his arm ripped
But
off.
yeah, I did think
The
that
girl.
episode 6 I
It's a
think was
trans
a
man.
slower.
So does the guy.
Oh, okay.
Did they ever say that? Is that
No, that isn't. That's
No.
being kind of criticized right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
because he identifies as a
Yeah,
man.
I was
he
trying to
prefers
figure
he,
out
him
if that was
pronouns.
something that was.
go.
Yeah, I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out if that was something that maybe was in process of happening when they were doing the documentary or not. I'm not sure. I think Tina, you looked into it a little bit more than I did.
Yeah. Apparently,
Well,
Seth
he may
continuously
identify as a
says-
guy, but according whatever.
So you guys try to watch your screen. You'll see the person who's talking highlighted just in case, so we don't talk over each other so much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Well-
not going to happen.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead. What were you saying, Nathan?
But he was like freaked out about that one part, and I said, "Oh, just wait. So when we get off here, we're gonna start it over again because I'm watching it and I'm catching little things that I missed the first time around, and I'm like, oh."
What were you gonna say, Nico?
I was going to say, if only we could highlight ourselves when we're live in person.
I know, right?
Yeah, you're totally right, Nathan. Like, I think episode 3, I think that's the real Carol one. It's like, did she really do it? That's
Yes.
the craziest one for me.
I mean, she even said she gave it sardine oil. Come on now.
So I have one
Who
comment.
knows, like, that level of bullshit? It's just like, who? Why would you say that?
I do have one comment. I do have one comment about that. So I you get feelings off people or whatever, and I do feel like she probably did it. But somebody who's a seasoned documentary filmmaker and watcher, they manipulated her story for the drama. She didn't get the coverage on that aspect of the story that everybody else got because they use it as a tool for plot development and to give her character more mystery. And I looked into it afterwards, and there's a lot more to it than they covered. Do I think she did it? Yeah, probably. I do. But
I think
still,
at the very least, she had a hand in it.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say this though, because even in her interviews, she does not like it because she was like, "Oh, I didn't know they were going to portray it like this." Blah blah blah. I was like, first off,
every documentary subject says that.
Yeah, but first off, you knew what you signed up for, and they were asking you questions. You knew it was going to pop in. I mean,
there's also a difference on just this thing was a long time in the making, several years.
5 years.
Content and interviews went into that. So many questions people are just going to forget about, or there's going to be hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. They were able to just cherry pick the content that worked best for the narrative that they're establishing.
I don't know. My opinion is every single one of the people involved, from Carol Baskins to Doc Adler to Joe King, like all of them need to be in jail. So,
but
they're all terrible people. Again,
they are all terrible people.
Terrible people.
Did you find it interesting though how they portrayed like the news anchor and the federal government agencies, like how their input was, and it was like it just really did seem like the federal agents just wanted to nail somebody.
Federal agents, not to that extent. I did feel like they set their sights on Joe and didn't really develop past him, which is a misgiving on their part because let's face it, I think, who was it? I think it was Doc Adler who was like, he's not that smart. Somebody had to have helped him come up with this. But the news anchor, I loved her. She called everything.
She was great. I love how honest she was. Like, oh yeah, he's great television. He's great news. People watch because he's crazy. And I loved her comment when they were talking about the trial and when he was up for the murder for hire plot, and she's like, people die every day. No one cares. But if you put animal abuse in the charges, that's going to get everyone excited and interested in this case, which was dead on. I think they went after Joe because they had the better case, but the ending of the documentary, I felt really made the case of, we're not done yet, or we as in like the government and everyone, it's not over yet about going after these other people, these other individuals.
And when the government
Joe's story is pretty much done now.
Two things on that. Joe painted a target on his back by his antics. by going so public with everything. And when you threaten
Absolutely.
somebody and you take a blow up doll or whatever it was and you pop it and say this is you and I'm going to have your head in a jar and you put that stuff on Facebook, well, you're just asking to be the target. The ones that are the two things, the ones that are the scariest are the quiet ones, which is the guy who I think framed Joe.
Oh, Jeff Lowe.
Yeah. And then also when the government gets quiet, that's when they're the most scary. And they got quiet at the end. So I think they're not done.
It felt so dirty though towards the end. I was like, okay, yeah, Joe's not a perfect human being, but should he have gotten that much time? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
No.
I think you should have. I just also think everybody else should too.
Yeah, that's really it. I agree with that.
Then you got that titty bar Chucky doll guy.
Yeah. I honestly think Joe is going
I will say this.
Go.
Oh, okay. I honestly think Joe is going to offer his information so that he can have his sentence reduced. That's what I see. Mm-hmm. So any information that he has on, like he said, he's working to take down everybody else who was involved. Every person he sold a tiger cub to, everybody. He's planning on going after them as well.
Mm-hmm. But that's why he's working with animal protections.
Yeah, I think he's going to trade that information for a reduced sentence.
What were you going to say, Nico?
I will say I was disappointed with its use of Eye of the Tiger. It's like, you got to use the song somewhere. It's got to be in this documentary. And they wasted it on the random jackass guy.
On a jet ski.
I never remember his name. Yeah, the jet ski guy. And it's like, come on, man. You had so many ample opportunities to use this song.
Although I did love Joe's original music. It just was like the highlight of my...
Apparently, though, that's not him actually.
Yeah,
no.
That's not his singing. That's not his writing.
It's not,
He's just lip syncing to it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, that's not him.
People. Yes.
Yeah,
wow.
He paid the same guy.
It's totally not him.
Wow.
So my favorite thing, though, is right at the end of it, like right when I thought it was all ending and it was wrapping up and whatever, all of a sudden we get a storage locker full of evidence on everybody. That makes me want to see season 2.
Yeah.
That I want to, because I want to see the other guys, the cult guy with all his harem of women. I need to see those guys get busted.
Oh, that was so weird.
Oh, Doc Antle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was an interesting one just because he had like one. He was in the first episode, and then he had his own spotlight episode, and then he was pretty much left out of most of the rest of the documentary just because he directly isn't really involved in the Joe drama because he's got his little harem cult out in North Carolina.
But at the same time, you notice when they interviewed him or something, he's like, "You're not going to catch me saying anything on camera. You're not going to catch me saying this on camera." No.
Yeah.
So
he's probably also smarter than
that.
Joe.
Yeah. So this show, it was really it's funny how this miniseries lit people up, and people can't seem to talk about it without spoiling it. Because what was really funny is I posted something on Facebook and I tagged a couple of people that I thought should really see it. And one of them put a comment, she's like, I'm very much, soft when it comes to animals. Can I watch it? Whatever. And I responded back to her and told her.
It's a little rough.
I told her kind of the idea of what things might happen in that way. But a bunch of my friends, different people just started posting moments from the thing. I took the post down. Because I was like, you guys are ruining it. You guys are ruining it. But it's I don't know. This thing really lit people up.
I've been saying I'm really happy with Netflix.
You have a captive audience.
Yeah,
that's true. Timing is one thing. We have nothing else to do.
I will say one of the reasons
Speaking of which, we're 20 minutes.
Yeah.
One of the reasons it took Nico and me a bit to get started on Tiger King was because we were watching Hunters on Amazon Prime, which is fantastic.
I'm going to go back and give it a try. I watched the first episode and I was kind of bored. So I just kind of stepped away from it.
The first episode sets stuff up. It's not until end of episode 2, maybe episode 3, when you start getting like, ooh, this is actually really good. So I would definitely say give it at least until episode 3.
Okay. Go.
I agree with that. Here's the criticism I would probably levy at the show is that in terms of basic plot setup and dynamics early on, the very basic premise, it's very much like The Boys, which is already another Amazon show that just came out a few months ago. That whole, like, this one guy, the young kid character, is suddenly all this stuff affects him, and he wants to go underground and get back at the people who screwed his life, either superheroes or Nazis. And the old grizzled either Carl Urban or Al Pacino character brings him into the group. So it's kind of weird on how similar it is in that respect. But Al Pacino's great. Everybody in it's really great, but
you can't argue Al Pacino. Really even though I was kind of bored with episode 1, he was really good. So quick before we move on, Nathan, did you say you were watching Ozark or starting Ozark?
I just started Ozark. I'm on episode 6 of season 1.
So I finished the current 3rd season that just came out. I just finished it. That show is so good.
I don't know why I have not watched it before, because I was like, oh, wait, this is popping up as like number 2 on Netflix top 10. So I started it and I was like, okay, cool. And after the first episode, I was like, what is this? And then it kept going. Remember I told you when season 1 came out, I thought that for me, I liked it better than Breaking Bad. I think I can agree with you just off the 6 episodes I've seen. And it's because I feel that the main character is more complex. But Jason Bateman's? Yeah, and Jason Bateman is an amazing actor. Yeah. But Laura Linney steals the series in season 3. You'll see. Okay. She's so good. I'm fascinated with the child actors, too. Episode. He did. He's a good director, too. Yeah. I'm fascinated with the child actors. And then the girl that plays Ruth, I'm like, whoa. Yeah, she's great. I've never seen her before. I really love her, though. It's super good if you need something else to binge. It's a good place to go. Yeah. But who's got a story?
All right.
Is anyone watching Westworld, or is it just me?
Just you.
I just don't care anymore.
Just you. Have fun.
Yeah.
I read the recaps.
I'll stop there. That torch.
Watching.
So, despite the ongoing global situation bringing most events, movies, and lives to a complete standstill, it has now been announced that San Diego Comic-Con will still take place in July of this year, as originally scheduled. The annual convention hosts some of the biggest and most popular names in the entertainment industry, bringing together the most passionate fans of comics, movies, and television. The announcement was made earlier via their social media. It is worth noting that the announcement does state that the organizers will monitor the situation and that updates could very well follow. So far, the entertainment industry has already been hit with all kinds of disruption, from major events such as CinemaCon having been canceled, while movie theaters have completely shut down, causing delay and postponement of several high-profile releases, Mulan and Quiet Place 2. No further details were given as to what might happen.
I'll kill you.
Should the event end up being canceled? Many have urged organizers to rethink their decision and postpone the event until next year, advising that badges can roll over or refunds offered. At present, the San Diego Convention Center is being used as a temporary shelter for homeless individuals in an effort to ease the burden, with the idea to later find those residents permanent housing. Most large-scale events have been postponed and canceled, including the Olympic Games, the 2020 Wimbledon tennis tournament, as well as a wide variety of film festivals, including Sundance, which has postponed its 2020 events in London and Hong Kong. There has also been many, many movies that have now been delayed, including those from Sony Pictures, who decided to postpone everything en masse. These movies include Ghostbusters Afterlife, Morbius, Uncharted, Peter Rabbit 2, Greyhound, and an untitled Sony-Marvel collaboration that was set for October next year. Spider-Man. All have now been indefinitely delayed. Elsewhere, the likes of Wonder Woman 1984, A Quiet Place Part 2, Fast 9, and Disney's Mulan have also been pushed back.
So we have another story on that too, because I think Zach has some other movie that was pushed. But what do you guys think that the chances of San Diego Comic-Con actually happening are?
To be honest, I think because most states are 2 weeks to 3 weeks behind New York, I mean, they've already canceled CMA Fest here in Nashville, which is usually June and July. They canceled Bonnaroo. I think this thing's not gonna be over till the end of July.
My guess is very similar to Nathan's. It's going to be
Bonnaroo's
closer to
postponed.
the end
It's
of.
happening later in the year.
Yeah, it's happening in the fall.
But I feel
Don't you
that
delay Tenet.
Canceling an event like these.
What were you saying, Nico?
I was going to say canceling events like this is a lot of work and a lot of contract work behind the scenes with venues and vendors and people you're working with. So they could just be trying to get all of that taken care of before they can actually announce. They could also be working on trying to get backup dates instead of canceling outright, just postpone to a later point in the year.
Yeah,
that's
and
a lot of work, and it's having a little bit of experience in that. I really don't begrudge them, but I do think they should probably they need to make something more statement-y than we're still going to happen business as usual, because that's not going to be the case, especially in California.
I feel like the problem is if they wait too long to cancel it, people that have tickets and have hotels and flights and things, they're going to have trouble getting out of that stuff. And that's the part that bothers me, because ultimately I don't think they should cancel it. I think they should push it forward, because I think because of all the movie delays and everything that we're talking about that have happened, I think the entertainment industry could use a San Diego Comic-Con in September or October to be able to get out and talk about what's happening after Christmas.
Exactly. Postpone it.
Postpone it,
but that's
be the
a
best
lot of
idea.
work. An event that big that has the footprint that San Diego Comic-Con has, finding other dates for it in the same year is very difficult. So that could entirely be what they're doing. They just can't say it yet.
Fair enough.
And then we don't know what's going on with their venue. It could be that their venue hasn't agreed to work with them on cancellation. If most events cancel without, city ordinance or somebody telling them they have to cancel, it's that constant obligation to pay all the fees.
Well,
which bankrupts a lot of conventions.
Here's another aspect. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Oh, it's just we don't know if the venue's working with them or if the venue's just like, nope, you're still contracted to have your July event.
Another aspect to it is attendees may have already bought tickets or booked hotel rooms, but are they going to be able to afford to make it out there, or even be able to afford to enjoy what you usually would while you're out there? Like, there's a lot of people now that don't have jobs, and they gotta cut back on their spending, cut back on what they're going to normally do. So then you look at attendance for events like this too; it's going to be affected. Mm-hmm.
So I hope that they see some reason and can find a way to postpone it. I know I've done San Diego Comic-Con twice, and both times it nearly killed me because it's so big. So I get that. I get it.
Please, Zach, just don't delay my movie.
Well, that's
Too late.
Why don't you do your? I think you have this. Zach, don't you have the story about the movie delay?
Yeah. So basically, this article is about Paramount's delays. They've changed some movies that were coming out in June, including Top Gun Maverick, which is now going to come out on Wednesday, December 23rd. And they're also pushing Chris Pratt's movie, The Tomorrow War, to some unknown date. It's basically the only one left yet to move. Oh no, we have no longer has a time limit.
Oh, I have a gift. It says running out of time. They've removed the 40-minute time limit on your group meeting.
Oh, sweet.
So we can continue.
All right, sweet.
Maybe maybe that's like some sort of special thing for
COVID. Yeah. There you go.
So basically, this takes the Star Wars time slot. It will face Christmas Day weekend releases, Tom and Jerry from Warner Brothers, The Nightingale. So there's another movie coming out called The Nightingale, but it's not The
There's
Nightingale.
There's a Tom and Jerry movie coming out?
Yeah, apparently so.
The Nightingale is based off of the book that's really popular right now.
Oh. Okay, that won't get confusing at all.
No.
The Croods 2 apparently is somehow getting a sequel, and then you were getting... Oh gosh, of course, Dune is coming out. and Coming to America 2, all in that same basic like 2 weeks. So
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I mean, who's getting the IMAX screen? Is it going to be Dune? Is it going to be,
It should be Dune.
Top Gun 2? They filmed with
Should be Dune.
IMAX cameras, but they're not IMAX cameras. They just took some Sony
Yeah, it's
cameras.
true. It's
and
gonna
said,
be Top Gun's
enough."
Dune's gonna get some of it, but Top Gun's gonna get most of it. I think it's great for Top Gun. Top Gun is gonna be a dad movie. It is the perfect season for that.
I agree. When I saw that date, I was like, oh, well, that's fine. And you know what I think is really funny is we had this discussion because Nathan posted something in our private group about some internet blogger or whatever was saying that Warner Brothers was looking at going ahead and releasing Wonder Woman. And
it was Mulan and Black Widow onto Disney Plus.
No, there was one before that.
No, there was. Yeah, Steven's right. There was some early
somebody else post. I don't remember which one of us posted, but it was posted. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because Zach and I were having a conversation because I went to look that person up. And it's so funny because a lot of these people, oh, by the way, I don't remember her name, but she's super cringy.
Grace Randolph. What a cringe fest.
And
as soon as I saw it's like, oh, this is coming from like Grace Randolph. I'm like, yeah, so there's no legitimacy to this.
And I feel like sometimes a lot of bloggers.
What was it from? Like We Got It Covered or Cosmic News?
It was her own YouTube channel.
Grace Randolph is the worst. She's the type of critic that wanted Deadpool to be rated PG-13 for one kid.
Yeah. So, but I think
one kid.
You see some people doing that now because they actually want to see these movies out. They want to see them on VOD. They just want them out. And I love that Warner Brothers stood their ground on Wonder Woman because that movie should be seen in the theater.
Yeah.
Well, they shot it with IMAX cameras.
Yeah. And they're like, no, we'll just release it next year, which I think is, next year is going to be a crowded year for film, especially considering all the stuff they already had planned for next year. But I'm okay. I'll go every week. I'll do Pushing 100 in 2021.
I mean, if there's that many good movies or like interesting movies to come out, well then I'll get the Regal Unlimited thing.
Yeah, you need to get the Regal Unlimited thing.
Well, now would be a bad time to get it, but I'm saying once there's sufficient level of stuff.
You can't.
Yeah, and they're not charging us anyway.
What I'm saying is,
Regal Unlimited accounts, but yeah.
What I'm saying is, in the past 3, 4, 5 months, I'll go to the mainstream theater, like AMC or Regal, literally once a month maybe. So that $20 price tag would be a waste of money for me. But I mean, if there's 3, 4, 5 films to see now, it's like, all right, let's sign up for it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be going that much.
What were you gonna say, Nico? Nico?
I don't know what I was going to say.
I mean, I don't know how much.
Yeah, it was hard to hear both you and Zach talking.
Yeah. So I don't, I feel like kind of we may be in the minority on this a little bit. Did you guys partake in any of the theatrical online rental thing that happened?
I did, Invisible Man.
No.
I have not because $20 is not enough for me. I mean, it's way too much for me to spend on a singular rental.
And a lot of people were predicting like, oh, the death of cinema is going to happen during this. But the thing is people will still spend $15 or whatever to go to the theater. But even though people like you have everyone saying, oh, I'd rather watch it at home, no one would spend the money to watch it at home.
Well, they were charging $20.
But $20 is a fair price.
$15, $20 at a theater is because guess what? I have a 5.1 sound system. You know what a theater has? Like a beastly sound system. You know what the theater is showing? They're showing a Dolby Vision screening or an IMAX screening. I have a 4K TV, but it can't do HDR.
Well, that's
so it's like, I'm going to be paying the same price for, in my opinion, a subpar performance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, considering that regular movie tickets are $10, but the premiums like Dolby Cinema or IMAX are $20, I expect that level of quality, frankly.
I
Sorry.
have not heard how Universal did with that. Everyone made such a big deal about Universal releasing all these movies to that format. But the fact of the matter was, everything that they chose to release, which was at the time, it was the Hunt, Invisible Man, and the other little indie movie. Those movies had all been out in the theater for at least a month.
Well, now you have Onward. You have some other movies on there that are.
Yeah, Onward came out. It got
screwed.
It got maybe a week, and it didn't do that well.
It makes sense. It makes sense for these movies that were just released. Like, even if it was just released a week prior to all the theaters, it's too late. The release date's already hit. By the time theaters open back up, the studios need to put new things in the theaters, not reboot. Okay, let's keep going with Onward. So it makes a lot of sense for Disney to just go ahead and say, hey, you know what? Let's throw it up on Disney Plus. Get people to watch it. It is an attraction to get people to get Disney Plus because they're going to be home. Might as well watch some Disney stuff. Here's the latest Disney thing.
Well, and they did drop it to VOD before it went to Disney Plus. It was there to buy on digital.
Yeah. So everything that they put on like Prime Video Cinema was released before everything shut down. So like I'm seeing Onward, I Still Believe, Sonic the Hedgehog, The Call of the Wild, Birds of Prey, Bloodshot, The Hunt, Emma, The Way Back, and The Invisible Man.
Now, I think the one that suffered the most there was probably Bloodshot. Bloodshot probably really suffered because no one's paying that money to rent that movie there. And people like me would have probably saw it in the theater with their Regal
well,
Plus.
to be fair, no one was paying that money to see it in the theater.
Yeah, but we would have seen it with our Regal card, you know. If I didn't have to pay.
And that one came out. Yeah, you're right.
Literally the weekend before the theater shut down.
But that also, it was the weekend. It was like 2 days before everything shut down.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it probably suffered the most, and I don't know. Okay. I haven't heard one way or the other how that movie is.
Yeah.
All right, who's got the next story? Nathan, do you have a story?
Are we going to TV now?
Yes, sir.
All right.
There's not a lot else movies to talk about.
All right.
That's true.
Well, HBO is offering free movies and TV shows, including The Sopranos, Barry, Succession, and The Wire. HBO has announced that it will be making over 500 hours of its original programming available to stream for free to help provide some entertainment relief for those doing their part to keep everyone safe and healthy in this time of social isolation. Starting Friday, April 3rd, for a limited time, you'll be able to stream some of the most iconic HBO series. Again, The Sopranos, Succession, 6 Feet Under, The Wire, and Barry on the HBO Go and HBO Now apps and websites for free without subscription. Additionally, HBO is making available a handful of films like Detective Pikachu, The Lego Movie 2, Crazy Stupid Love, and more.
Terrible movies, just saying.
Yeah, that's basically it. HBO is offering free entertainment.
I actually think that's amazing. And I know there's some marketing behind it, like they're hoping they can pull in some subscribers and that kind of thing. But when I see that and I see like CBS All Access is offering where you can watch Picard and Discovery for free, I don't know. I think that's good. Some goodwill there, even though I know their end game is hoping that you'll subscribe.
Yeah.
Have you
Agreed.
guys,
I think it's
I'm not that stupid to fall for that, though.
I actually, was already watching the CBS All Access stuff because somebody in my family has the service, and we subscribe to HBO. So none of these actually really help me, but I highly recommend looking over at Discovery and Picard, though, especially Discovery. Picard is interesting because it's so divisive. Like, people love it or they hate it.
I've heard if you're like a hardcore Trekkie fan, you will hate it.
Well, see,
like hardcore, like you can reference singular episodes of like TNG.
I had this discussion with somebody the other day because
well, Steven likes it because he respects Picard's haircut.
That's true. He knows what he's doing. So, you know what I respect about it is it's doing what I asked for so long from Star Wars, is give me something in the universe, but don't make it don't give me any Jedis. Well, Picard gives me something in the Star Trek universe, but there's no starship. So it's a really different show. There's a lot of F-bombs in that show too, which is really weird for Star Trek. But it's good. I liked it.
But we can't have a R-rated Star Trek. No.
Well,
Quentin
you got
Tarantino
one now.
Can't do it.
Well, maybe this is them dipping
We're
their
gonna make
toe.
a TV show with it. God.
I think Discovery is generally probably a better show, but I like both of them. And back onto Nathan's story, a lot of that stuff that HBO
it's more of a Star Trek show, like.
Yeah, it is. It is. But it's more of a Star Trek, like if you imagine modern looking Star Trek, but it leans into social commentary the way the original Star Trek did a little more. I think the TNG got kind of lost in technobabble stuff like that.
If you want more traditional Trek, go that way.
Yeah. And as far as the stuff that's on HBO, there's a lot of good stuff listed there. I think you should, if you're not a subscriber, you should go and what are we going to do anyway?
Read.
Masturbate.
To that.
Well, but how long is that going to take you?
Longer than Zach.
You got, if you got an hour, you can read and do that and still have, 55 minutes left over.
Perfect. All right, Nico, you got a story. Please
tell me.
Yeah, sure. So, in addition to everything else shutting down, so is the comic book business. Currently, Diamond Distributors, which is the direct distributor that ships comics from the producers from Marvel, DC, Dark Horse to your comic shops, has stopped. So no shops are getting print comics. Most shops aren't open right now anyway because of various orders across this country. So a lot of publishers have decided we're not going to release digital comics either. So if you were hoping to still get your comics digitally, you're out of luck. Now, we talked about some earlier examples of some movie and TV companies like CBS All Access and HBO doing free books or free shows to watch. Comixology, Marvel Unlimited, some of those services are doing free books to read too, so you don't have to necessarily pay for subscriptions if you want to try that. However, some comic book writers have been brainstorming for fun ways to get people back into the comic shop once everything opens back up, including one prolific writer for both Marvel and DC, Kevin Moe, posted on Twitter last week, quote, "When comic shops open back up, as we all hope they will, I would love it if DC and Marvel can ask the lawyer to step outside and have another big Marvel-DC crossover."
Yes.
That tweet led to a huge thread of all sorts of different actual comic writers and artists piping up with their fantasy face-offs between Marvel and DC characters, as well as a lot of go ahead and have a chat about what you want to see from Marvel and DC having a fight. Go on Twitter, look for Gail Smith's account, and respond.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love this sort of, and this stuff turns into things. It could turn into a comic book. We've had really great crossovers before between those two companies. My George Perez did one of my favorite ones. I love that crossover. Even though Superman picks up the hammer, which
the Avengers JLA one, that's fantastic.
I love that one. You would think Warner Brothers would be begging for this in the film.
The book explains it. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. All right, you guys, this was actually really fun. I've missed doing this show these last 2 weeks while we were figuring out this whole quarantine situation. So.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of jokes like, oh, what do you do? A podcast? Oh, that's not, a lot of people kind of dismiss that, but when it's your weekly grounding to, oh boy, I have this coming up, and suddenly you got nothing.
It's a thing.
It's,
Whoa, we just lost
awful.
Tina. Oh, there she comes.
Yeah.
The only thing that's killing me is I'm going to need a haircut.
Sorry.
Your internet is shit.
Out.
That's true. Your internet is shit.
Yeah. No, it's a shit.
Like, seriously, the last bit that you were talking about,
Holy
Stephen, I could not understand it. It sounded like you were talking like wind chimes. It was weird.
Well, luckily on my
Came through
end,
fine on my end.
where we're actually recording, I hear everything fine. All right, I guess we should bring this thing to an end. It sounds like we're kind of there. But it's good to see all of you guys. And if you're listening, stay home, stay safe. Binge watch Ozark. Binge watch Tiger King. And don't watch Westworld because that's a waste of your time.
Yeah, read the recaps.
I mean,
That's all you need.
Can I talk like one thing about?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, so there's one thing I.
Oh wait, you have to talk about that thing. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Spoilers.
Without going with spoilers or without?
I don't
Anybody
care.
Spoilers, no spoilers.
I don't care.
All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna
Do it.
All right, screw it. So somebody realizes that they're not living, a real world. They're living in a simulation. And inside the simulation, there is a World War II world, and then there's a kingdom, like a medieval kingdom world.
Like Camelot.
Like Camelot, almost like Game of Thrones. Almost. And then these characters, realizing this, go beneath, into the, the workways where they're repairing the robots and everything. And suddenly, they come across two guys talking in a room, and one guy is, "How the fuck are you going to get this dragon out of here?" "Well, I found a buyer in Costa Rica." He starts up a saw blade, and you see the dragon from Game of Thrones. But these aren't just two employees.
They're the
This is
creators of Game of Thrones.
the creators of Game of Thrones talking about it.
That's I don't know. I think that's like a big F you.
It's a massive.
Look at Nico.
It's
he
a
loves
massive.
it.
It is a massive fuck you to the fans of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
And the
well,
writers of Game of Thrones are saying fuck you to the fans.
Yep.
Well, so was the last season, Zach.
I mean, yeah, I know, but I could have swore I thought HBO was like, hey, let's not like rip open that cankerous sore. Let's just bury this.
The spinoff is going to be, it's all fake. It was part of Westworld.
Well, I did some research on this, and it turns out that the creators of Westworld.
Well, that would make sense, actually. If the whole idea was that like actual people were in the world and infected the Westworld version of Game of Thrones for the last season, if that's why all the shit hit the fan in the last season, it all went stupid because real people were there, okay, fine.
It can't get any worse.
That still wouldn't fix the stupidity of Dany or the stupidity of Jon Snow.
Mm.
But I mean, I was researching this, and the creators of Westworld really did love the idea of Westeros being one of the worlds of Delos, and they wanted a cameo some part in like season 1 or season 2. And I think if they had done it in season 1 or season 2, it would have been received much more nice. But ever since the ending, it's just like fuck you.
Hell no.
It was a jaw-dropping moment where me and KJ looked at each other and was like, I cannot believe they did that.
That explains why there's a coffee cup in that one scene.
Perfect.
Yay.
Yeah, and
Everything
the
is
bottle of
forgiven.
water.
Nathan said everything is forgiven.
Oh,
That's
it's so great.
Yep.
I hate it. Thanks.
All right, let's wrap this thing up, you guys.
Anyway, Westworld is. I'm watching it, but
before I
it's
get
hit
kicked
and
off
miss.
again.
Yeah, because we didn't even see your video now, Tina. We just see your face there.
Yeah, I
Yep.
cut the video so that way save a little bit.
All right, Nico, where do we find you on the internet?
Yep.
Nico.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Nico Scream. Just see me posting random photos of what little bit I get outside or D&D stuff.
Tina?
You can find me on Cheddar Popper, ChedrPoppr, in both Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is where I do book updates. I haven't done much because Animal Crossing, but I'm making myself put down the video games so that I can read.
Look at you. Nathan?
You can find me on Instagram at Nate_R_70. You can also find me under quarantine here drinking every day.
Zach?
You can find me at work, and you can find me online. I am a dangerous mute lunatic. I'm still playing Doom Eternal. Though I streamed it, I live streamed some of it, and some asshole was like, "Oh, that looks like really easy. I don't really see how this is any different than the other game."
Actually, that asshole didn't say that. What that asshole said is it looks just like all the other games. That's what that, because I'm that asshole.
Oh, okay. So he was even.
I didn't say it
worse.
looked easy. It didn't look easy. It just looks like the same old textures.
No, dude. I'm running it on Nightmare. It's like you can go up to Ultra Nightmare, but I'm running it at Nightmare settings.
No, I'm not talking about the
gameplay.
gameplay. What I was saying was the rooms and all just look like typical Doom stuff. It didn't look like it was anything fresh.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you judging that on one level. Okay.
That was enough. I got bored.
Oh.
Plus,
But
you
we
were
know how judgy Steven can be.
Plus, you were sucking. So there
It's
was
hard.
that.
The game is like I'm playing on easy and it's hard.
All right. So you can find me at All Things Culturesmash. I'm writing a lot of stuff because I actually did get some things in to review before the replicators, which actually is what happened. The replicators for Blu-ray and DVD are shut down right now. So what I got is what I got for a while. But I've got some things coming up. And you can find me on Off the Shelf Movie Night on YouTube. My home theater tour is about to hit 5,000 views. So yep, come over and watch that. And I'm doing this new thing. I'll show you. Spoiler alert. I'm doing a new thing called Quarantine Q. What I'm gonna watch for quarantine. So because I'm being thematic. Spoiler alert. That's what's coming up.
Woo! Contagion and 28 Days Later.
Yeah. So
I need to watch Contagion. Everybody's talking about that movie now.
Contagion's great.
It's a
Steven
great movie.
Soderbergh. Yeah.
I know
think we
it's Steven
just
Soderbergh. I just didn't watch it when it came out in 2011.
look. I think we just lost Nico. All right, let's call it.
Wait, before everybody goes, this will not be on the podcast, but I want to.
Well, then let me wrap the show then before you say it. I guess this will bring us to an end. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everybody.